Not all warriors need eyes to see their enemies. Some can hear hatred in a heartbeat, feel malice in a footstep, and sense fear in a single breath. Marcus Williams was one of those warriors. The gentle tapping of Marcus Williams' white cane echoes through the peaceful Seattle streets as he makes his way home from the community center, where he teaches self-defense to visually impaired youth. Though he lost his sight in his final SEAL mission 15 years ago, his other senses have become extraordinarily sharp. The evening air carries the scent of approaching rain, and his ears pick up every subtle sound around him. Behind his dark glasses lies a decorated war hero, a former Navy SEAL commander with over 200 successful missions. Few in his quiet neighborhood know anything about his past. To them, he's simply the kind gentleman who teaches at the community center and plays chess in the park. Marcus's trained senses detect the footsteps before they're within 30 feet. 5 sets of boots, trying to move quietly but betraying their positions through scuffed steps and nervous breathing. Their movements suggest they're spreading out to surround him. He continues walking, maintaining his pace while mapping their positions in his mind. "Hey, old man, wrong neighborhood," a voice sneers, heavy with misguided hatred. Marcus sighs quietly, recognizing the intent in their tones. He's faced prejudice before, both for his blindness and his race, but he always seeks to diffuse rather than escalate. "Gentlemen," Marcus responds calmly, "I'm just heading home. There's no need for trouble tonight." The warning. The scene unfolds at a crucial moment when tension reaches its peak before the inevitable confrontation. The leader of the hostile group takes a deliberate step toward Marcus, emboldened by what he perceives as weakness. This physical advance represents the classic mistake of judging solely by appearances, a theme that runs throughout the story. Their threatening words, "You're not hearing us right. Your kind isn't welcome here," drip with dramatic irony. The attackers are themselves blind to the true nature of the man they're confronting. Marcus's response to this escalation reveals layers of his character without exposing his full capabilities. His subtle shift in stance, barely perceptible to his would-be attackers, demonstrates the muscle memory of countless combat situations. This minimal movement exemplifies his training philosophy: economy of motion, nothing wasted, everything purposeful. Even in this moment of rising danger, Marcus maintains his commitment to peace by offering them a final opportunity to walk away. The diplomatic nature of Marcus's warning carries special weight because of how he frames it. Rather than threatening them directly, he speaks of protecting rights and freedoms, including those of his potential attackers. This response showcases his deeper understanding of the situation's irony. He has spent years defending the very freedoms these men are now using to threaten him. His measured tone and philosophical approach stand in stark contrast to their raw aggression, highlighting the difference between power and strength, between capability and wisdom. When one of the attackers makes the fateful decision to lunge forward, it marks a point of no return in the narrative. This moment of action represents the failure of reason against prejudice, forcing Marcus to demonstrate rather than explain his capabilities. The scene serves as a bridge between attempted diplomacy and necessary action, though Marcus remains committed to his principles of minimal force and maximum restraint, even as combat becomes unavoidable. The symbolic weight of this scene extends beyond the immediate confrontation. It represents a microcosm of larger societal conflicts, the battle between ignorance and understanding, between blind hatred and informed compassion. Marcus stands as a figure who has transcended physical blindness to achieve a deeper kind of vision, while his attackers remain blind to their own prejudices despite having physical sight. This contrast becomes more poignant as the story progresses, setting up the eventual lesson that true vision extends far beyond mere eyesight. In the revelation, the narrative shifts dramatically as Marcus's true capabilities are unveiled to his would-be attackers. The scene opens with a deliberate slowing of time, described as unfolding in slow motion from the attacker's perspective. This literary technique serves to heighten the impact of Marcus's sudden transformation from seemingly vulnerable target to masterful warrior, allowing readers to experience every nuanced movement of the confrontation. The description of Marcus's fighting style reveals his sophisticated military background without resorting to excessive violence. His movements are characterized as fluid, efficient, and practiced, emphasizing years of training rather than brute force. The use of his white cane as both assistive device and defensive tool demonstrates his adaptability and expertise. This duality symbolizes how Marcus has transformed what others might see as a disability into an asset, incorporating it seamlessly into his combat technique. A crucial moment occurs when one of the attackers verbally recognizes that Marcus is toying with them. This realization marks their first understanding of how gravely they've misjudged their target. The fear that creeps into the speaker's voice represents a complete reversal of power dynamics, from predator to prey, from confident aggressor to humbled observer. This transformation of their perspective serves as a powerful metaphor for the shattering of prejudice through direct experience. The choreography of the scene is particularly telling. Marcus uses minimal force to disable his attackers without causing serious injury. This restraint speaks volumes about his character, showing that despite his tremendous combat capabilities, he chooses mercy over vengeance. His ability to anticipate and counter each attack showcases how his other senses have been heightened to compensate for his blindness, perhaps making him even more formidable than he was before losing his sight. The scene reaches its climax with 4 attackers subdued on the ground, stunned but unhurt, while the 5th stands frozen in witnesses. This image creates a powerful tableau, the aftermath of expertise meeting ignorance, of training overwhelming prejudice. The fact that Marcus takes the time to retrieve his cane after the confrontation shows his composure and professionalism, emphasizing that this was not an emotional outburst, but a calculated response to a threat. This revelation scene serves multiple narrative purposes. It vindicates Marcus's earlier warnings while demonstrating his mastery and restraint. More importantly, it sets up the following scene where Marcus can deliver his moral lesson from a position of unquestioned authority, having earned his attacker's attention through action rather than words. The revelation is not just about his physical capabilities, but about the deeper truth that appearances can be deceiving, and prejudice can blind people to reality. The lesson, the narrative reaches its emotional and philosophical pinnacle as Marcus transforms a violent confrontation into a powerful teaching moment. The scene opens with Marcus addressing the last remaining attacker, demonstrating his extraordinary sensory abilities by noting that he can hear the young man's heartbeat. This intimate detail serves multiple purposes. It reinforces Marcus's exceptional capabilities while also humanizing the confrontation by acknowledging the attacker's youth and fear. The observation about the young man's calloused hands from honest work represents a crucial turning point in the narrative. Marcus isn't simply defeating an enemy. He's recognizing and acknowledging the humanity in someone who just tried to harm him. By noting that the attacker is better than this hatred, Marcus shows his ability to see beyond the immediate conflict to the potential for change, demonstrating a deeper kind of vision that transcends physical sight. Marcus's reflection on his military service carries profound weight in this moment. His words about serving with people of all backgrounds and how they bled the same color, fought with the same courage, died with the same dignity, serve as a powerful rebuke to racist ideology. The universality of human experience and sacrifice he describes stands in stark contrast to the divisive prejudices that led to the confrontation. His reference to protecting America's promise of freedom and equality for all reminds both the attacker and the reader of the higher principles at stake. The approach of police sirens adds urgency to the scene, while also providing a natural conclusion to the confrontation. Instead of waiting for law enforcement to arrive, Marcus chooses to leave after delivering his final piece of advice: make better choices. This brief but powerful statement encapsulates the entire message of the scene, that every person has the capacity to change and choose a better path. The simplicity of these words carries more weight because they come after such a profound demonstration of skill and wisdom. The most significant aspect of this scene is how it transforms what could have been a simple victory through physical prowess into a moral victory through teaching and compassion. Marcus doesn't just defeat his attackers, he attempts to educate and uplift them. His approach demonstrates that true strength lies not just in the ability to win a fight, but in the wisdom to turn conflict into an opportunity for growth and understanding. This scene serves as the moral heart of the story, where physical action gives way to philosophical reflection, and where violence is transformed into an opportunity for learning. It shows that the most powerful response to hatred isn't revenge or punishment, but rather an attempt to foster understanding and encourage positive change. Marcus emerges not just as a skilled warrior, but as a teacher and philosopher whose greatest weapon is his wisdom rather than his combat abilities. The scene masterfully balances action with reflection, physical prowess with moral authority, and righteous power with compassionate restraint. It elevates the entire narrative from a simple tale of conflict to a deeper meditation on justice, redemption, and the possibility of positive change, even in those who initially appear as adversaries. Later that evening, Marcus sits in his living room, running his fingers over a bronze trident, his seal insignia. A news report plays quietly in the background about 5 young men who turned themselves in, asking to enter a community service program focused on civil rights education. Marcus smiles slightly, hoping that tonight's encounter might lead at least one person toward understanding. He picks up his phone to call his old commanding officer. There might be an opportunity here to start a new program at the community center, one that combines self-defense training with lessons about civil rights history and community building. The rain finally begins to fall outside, and Marcus reflects on how some of the most important battles are won not with fists or weapons, but with wisdom, restraint, and the courage to show compassion even in the face of hatred.